Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
Cube Monk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by heirs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at heirs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
This is Ed Cohen, and you're on Global TV Talk Show. This program is brought to you by globalbusinessnews.net. The site's been alive and active since '03. According to Google Analytics, 1.2 million plus reader page views from over 100 countries, albeit 70% US, Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, 20% Europe, 9% Asia Pacific, although that's changing, that's increasing, and about 1% Middle East and Africa. Our special guest today is in LA. John Q. Khosravi is a well-known immigration expert, an attorney, and he has his own podcast, which we're going to hear about, and very sexy now. He has the, I'm going to read this, make sure I get it right, immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. Hello, John. Welcome again.
Hi, Ed. Thanks for having me on again. Sorry, from home, I hear a scream or two from the kids, but I'm glad to be here.
Oh, it's all right. Welcome them. I welcome them on the show. All right. So tell me about your podcast. Is that gaining traction for you?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I mean, I know you have fun with it, but is it working for you?
Yeah, it was a wonderful thing that started when I started my own practice. I was practicing for a couple of years, but then I started just to get more, attention out there and the like. And it's been great for connecting with other immigration attorneys. Business comes from it, from referrals and clients seeing that I'm talking about immigration all day. And then the audience that I developed from that eventually led to training courses I do. And now I launched the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox. So that's Immigration Lawyers Podcast, the name. I launched the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, which is a training program. And from there, the first issue of the magazine came out, which was a hit. And it just helps immigration lawyers and people interested in immigration law to learn both about the legal side of the practice and about the business and marketing side. And it helps, people are vendors, paralegals, assistants, and the like, just have a centralized location for immigration related information.
So the toolbox is like a digest, and then you take pieces from that and put them into the magazine?
The toolbox, it doesn't even it's a work in progress, so it's hard to find, but it was somewhat of a digest, some of a centralized location, whereas there's a paywall. Behind the paywall, there's hundreds of videos breaking down each aspect of immigration law, so a practitioner can know. And the magazine was just a way to get this information out, and it's full of contributions from colleagues. So other immigration attorneys write, articles that are either evergreen, just about topics, or cutting edge topics of things that are happening. And, it's hard launching a magazine. Ideally, I do it once a month or even once a week. But I settled with quarterly for now because there's so much work. And then once I develop a team and stuff, maybe I'll publish it more. So it'll be more cutting edge information. but we use LinkedIn and that kind of stuff to get more newer kind of information out that has to get out quickly.
So when you mention a paywall, does that mean that people have to sign in and spend $10?
Yeah, not $10, but yeah, the paywall is starting at $50 a month, and with it, if you've been practicing immigration law attorney for more than 2 years, you get on the directory as well, a website called verifiedimmigrationlawyers.com. But yeah, it's both updating information, training, and I have there's a lot of things that go into it. I don't want to bore you with it, but there's like a training course for people who want to become immigration lawyers, how to do a case and all that kind of stuff, and then they get access to the library that's behind the paywall as part of that for a year.
All right, that's great. Okay, so on LinkedIn today, I think it was earlier today, I saw that post about L1, companies that file for the L1 visa. And those are big, a lot of them, I guess, are Indian based, right?
Yeah, it's a controversial topic. So for those who don't know, the L1 is the intracompany transfer. This is when you have an executive, manager, or someone specialized knowledge overseas working there for 1 year continuously. You transfer them to an operation that's the same kind of job in the US. And sometimes companies need to transfer an employee from overseas to the US. It's just a regular international business the way it is. But the controversy is that especially people who support Trump and his immigration policy, as you're bringing foreign employers to come here. Typically, when you're doing an internal transfer of the company, you kind of need this person to come because they know some inside stuff. You can't just retrain someone immediately, or maybe confidential information as well. So a lot of companies use this L1 intercompany transfer. Companies I work with are on the list too, but there are those that may or may not be considered taking advantage of the program. And you have a great screenshot here. And these are these big companies like Tata, Infosys, Cognizant, who are bringing service employees in the computer area who can't get the H-1B because there's limits on their transfer here. Now, they may or may not be doing that. It's a controversial thing to say. But the Trump administration wanted to highlight these companies that are using this program a lot. They try to put more attention and more heat on them. And so I was like, oh, this is an interesting chart. There's probably 1,000 of these companies. A lot of them just do 1 or 2 or 3. Most of the companies I work with do 1 or 2, 3 people, bringing in an executive or CEO. But these are doing large numbers, these companies. So almost all of them are computer-related services. The exception would be Schlumberger, supporting activities for oil and gas operations. But IBM, Amazon services, those are the big names. Deloitte, which does consulting services. They kind of do this kind of management as well. They're bringing in large numbers on the L1 program. There's no caps on L1s. The H-1B is the typical worker program for people that have bachelor's degrees and above, but there's a limit every year. The L1 doesn't have a cap. And so it's a great way to get around that, but there are other requirements. But as you see, these companies, Infosys and Tata, bring a lot of Indian workers to the United States. That's a big thing that they do, and they get a lot of heat both on the H-1B side and on the L1 side.
Okay, so how does all this relate to virtual?
Well, that's the big question. I mean, do we need people especially that do service businesses to come to U.S. anymore? And that's a big thing. Is it just a perk to have someone come to the United States? And this is a debate we're going to right now, where a lot of offices are opening up again. And some major banks, like I think Goldman Sachs in New York, said, no, we're going to have people in person. We can't do this digital kind of stuff. And a lot of companies in San Francisco, Google itself, and a lot of others are opening up their offices to a certain extent. Because do we need people to be in an office to do this kind of service work or not? I work from home. I've always worked from home. It's the way I enjoy it. But almost every immigration lawyer I talk with, they always say, I don't know how you work from home. I can't do it. I'm not that disciplined, this and that, they always tell me. So most people need to go to a workplace, need to be around other people. And this is going to be the big debate of this year and next year is, are we going to fully switch to home, hybrid, or go to work? What's going to happen? And when it comes to these kind of topics, with regards to the L1, do we need these people to come here? And so there's a potential that the immigration department is going to want to see more evidence that this person is needed to be here to do the job. That is not a requirement right now, but they may read into it, the officer reviewing it, and say, well, why can't this person do the same thing overseas? And you really have to show, hey, being here in person has its own effect. But if the offices are closed temporarily, they'll say, well, why do they need to come here? Because there's no office to go to right now. So this is going to be an issue right now that we're dealing with until things open up and we could show a need for them to be here in person. The embassies themselves are partially almost completely shut down. So a lot of visas are not happening. There was a travel ban that President Trump had put into place, ended March 31st on this particular type of visa. So it's a state of flux, just like a lot of life right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that clarification. So tell me about what you think is going to happen further on this topic under the Biden administration and seemingly a more open stance on this, seemingly, but everything's in flux, as you just said.
Yeah, and seemingly is the main thing. The border issues right now on the southern border are taking up all the attention. Who knows how to deal with that issue? I have no idea, because with kids and stuff like that, it's a mess. It's unfortunate. With regards to these business kind of cases, Biden comes from a union kind of background, union support. And historically, the Democratic Party has not been, when you look at the 100-year history, has not been the party of immigration, because unions were Democrat, Republicans were business. They want to bring, maybe the accusations, all generalizations, but to bring in employees that they pay less and all that kind of stuff. Well, Biden comes from an old school Democratic background. Is he going to support an H-1B and L-1, these worker visas where foreign employees are coming here and taking jobs, competing with union jobs? So it's yet to be seen how this is going to play out. And so we don't know. There's always talk, especially with politicians, but we'll see how in practice, because you could say one thing to even pass a law, but how the agencies actually execute that law is what makes all the difference. So, you can pass any law you want, but if the officer at the Immigration Department, USCIS, gets some sort of internal memo that says be stricter on these, no one's going to know the internal memo, and they're going to be adjudicating that way. And so there's nothing we could do. So it's going to be really troublesome and tricky and big unknown how immigration is going to change at all during the Biden administration.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic, because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them, because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Now, what about the aspect of work from anywhere and people getting some kind of a beneficial visa with tax programs attached in order to attract people to go to Belize or maybe even Key West for foreigners?
Well, I mean, that'd be a really interesting thing. I haven't heard much talk about that, but definitely foreign countries should be pushing that as well, especially like destinations that are exotic, like Belize and Caribbean. Why not go there? Become part of their tax base and live there. That should be something they should market for international migration. And when I talk about the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, my program, the focus has been hyper focused on U.S. immigration, but more and more I'm getting foreign lawyers getting involved talking about their programs because the big switch that's happening in 2021 about immigration in the immigration community is calling it global migration because it's going both ways all over the place. And so that's going to be, I think, a big smart way for a lot of these smaller countries to bring in higher end, higher food chain kind of employees to there. They can help their tax base. They can help, extra services there and their people and all this kind of infrastructure that could be helped. And I think that's a big move that's going to be happening. This global migration step in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so what's happening as we have talked this through already, and we can't beat a dead horse here. But from your point of view, where you are so out there in the marketplace and welcoming, and put yourself as a go-to resource for everybody, but not in a block point of view, but from a share point of view. That's admirable, frankly. I admire you for doing that.
Thank you.
Takes guts, but it's a leader role. You're in the leadership.
Yeah, it's part of the new way of thinking about economy, of not coming from a place of scarcity and say, listen, I have all this information. People used to have a little paywall, though I have for my business, but I do videos every day on YouTube, both on the consumer side of business to business, where I just say, this is what you have to do. This is it. Not individual legal advice, but giving people an idea. And I think that creates a legitimacy and people see that I know what I'm talking about. And that creates my business. So I've been flourishing ever since the pandemic started. My business has gone bigger and bigger because I've been putting out there. And the demand is just there. Both the global demand for immigration is on overdrive, even though it's more difficult than ever to immigrate because of all the lockdowns various countries have, but also so many other people in different fields, either lawyers, paralegals, people that are vendors and translating companies are focusing more on immigration. No matter what we are going to do. And as globalization, even though it seems like globalization may be taking a hit and countries are becoming more insular or regional based, this movement of people is just so intrinsic in our values and our DNA that it's still there and it's still growing. So this immigration is going to be the big thing of this year for a variety of reasons, whether you're immigrating to get away from a country that can't handle the pandemic well, for financial opportunity, for environmental opportunity. It's just the way to go. It's just how to do that. Countries are restrictive and it's difficult and it's expensive. But this is the field to be in right now. It's cutting edge.
Okay, so what's the deal with Canada? I mean, Canada is very attractive for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And so I would think the immigration lawyers there are doing really well.
I was going to have an interview this morning. I canceled. It's going to be tomorrow with a Canadian immigration lawyer, Tanus, on my program. And she's going to go over what's happening right now. And I also work with one of the first and biggest, or at least the first Canadian immigration law firm, Green and Spiegel. I partner up with their U.S. side. And it's a hit and miss. Canada is certainly more open in certain ways, so wider swath of people coming in. Their programs, although restricted like the U.S., have a point-based system. So if you speak English, you have training, this and that, it's easier to get in. Whereas the U.S., you have to have a family member or have an employer lined up and jump through these specific hoops. It's positive on that end, but Canada has been catastrophic in the lockdown system and the effect it has on immigration. Essentially, you can't get into Canada. If you do, you got to pay a bunch of money, go in a hotel, be quarantined. Every time you go, whether you're Canadian or become extremely restrictive because of COVID, and it's not clear when that's going to end. My colleague Lori was taught I'm going to interview tomorrow. She's like, this is going to be the case for at least another couple of months. And the cross-border business is bad because right now, for example, the U.S. has a travel ban. If you're kind of drive into the United States, you can't come for leisurely purposes. You have to have a specific reason. Well, between the U.S. and Canada which I'm not sure if it still is this year, but was our biggest trading partner.
Right.
That's billions and billions of dollars just sitting there. So huge economic consequences in all the border communities within the U.S. A whole ton of our lumber comes from Canada. If you heard the news, lumber prices are going astronomical right now.
Yep.
So the Canadian situation with the difficulties coming and going because of the pandemic and the shutdowns, and even though they do have policies that are helpful for immigration, practically speaking, devastating both on the human level and on the economic level, which hits the human beings too. This is a crazy time. Luckily I have a job that's service based and I can work on the internet. And for me, it's been a K-shaped recovery where I've been going up. But there's huge swaths of our economy that are not, and the people are not, both U.S., Canada, and across the world. And so it's kind of scary seeing the further bifurcation of the economic sphere. And I think a lot of these things where people are coming to protest, whether it's for racial stuff or sexual orientation stuff, I think a core of it is because of the misalignment of the economic sphere is happening, and the pressures lead out to different kinds of things and frustrations coming out from the people. We really need to figure out how we're going to deal with this, because these lockdowns have not been helping people financially.
No, and mentally as well.
Mhm.
So as we come to a close here, Paul, do you want to throw up a couple of these slides that you put together?
Sure. This is the iTunes page for the podcast. I try to do regularly. Recently, I've been doing a lot. But the Immigration Lawyers podcast, a lot of fun. I interview a lot of immigration attorneys and experts in the field talking about where they're come from. The most recent issue with Nadine Heights was great because she talks about a lot of the tech used in the firm office and she uses that helps streamline things and become more cost effective.
Okay, that's great. Okay, Paul, what else do you have? Oh, okay, this is LinkedIn.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun. LinkedIn, if you're into marketing and getting attention out there from a professional community, LinkedIn is a lot of fun. You got to put time into it and think about what you're going to post. Can't just be copying and pasting. And I saw we're only a second connection. Please press the connect button so we have one first. I know, Ed, I'm with you. I guess with Paul, I'm not, but definitely connect. And anyone else, I'm always happy to connect. I'm not one of those people who doesn't connect with people necessarily. As long as you have a photo and you have a description, we're good. And this is the website, which I have to update, but it works for JK Law Firm. So I practice immigration law on a consumer end, but also help on the business side as well. It's a busy life. And thank you. This is the first issue of the magazine. We had 3 immigration lawyers that are partnering up. It was really neat. There's these massive lawsuits that have to happen against the government because of ridiculous things they've been doing. And these 3 attorneys and their firms partnered up to do these major lawsuits against the government for the delays they've had. And the magazine itself, as we're seeing on the screen right now, was a wonderful endeavor. Our contributing writers were wonderful. So many immigration lawyers helped, and over 10 or 15 articles of different types. It's a blast. It's so fun doing new things that haven't been done before. And this is the first trade magazine for immigration lawyers. It takes a lot of time. Although we have sponsors, which I appreciate all of them, it doesn't make as much money, but doing something new and helping people out and all that is just, it has its own treasure to it too that I really enjoy. And so it was a lot of fun and a lot of work, but a lot of fun doing. And actually this chart got a lot of attention on this page 12 as well, going over the biggest immigration law firms. It needs to be updated. Once I posted on LinkedIn, I had a lot of firms contact me and saying, no, we're bigger than this other one. And I'm like, oh, really? so this needs to be updated for the next issue.
Yeah, okay, great. So have you met an attorney in Toronto by the name of Larry Linton?
Larry Linton, I don't think so. I hope I haven't met him. I'm not forgetting that, but no, I don't think I have.
Now, I will provide an introduction. He's a partner with PwC in Canada on immigration. He's a very interesting guy. He has spoken at a couple of my meetings in Toronto in the past.
Oh, wonderful. So one of the issues is with a lot of these big 4 accounting firms have gone to U.S. immigration, but they can't partner up with lawyers in the United States because of the way the bar rules and lawyer rules are.
I see.
It's not in Canada. And so it's hard for me to exactly count how many lawyers they have to be able to create a list like that and how to put them in a chart and stuff. But it's very interesting. And they're going to be coming to the United States. And it's something I talked with the immigration lawyer about is they're going to open up the bar in California, Arizona, Utah, where non-lawyers could partner up with lawyers. And that's going to be a huge shift in not just immigration law, all forms of law, of how law is going to be practiced in the United States when you have big money coming in that could do marketing and non-lawyers doing the business side. It's going to be a huge shift in a sleepy industry that doesn't change much. So we're going to see what happens. I think it's going to be a wild time. But at the end of the day, one thing I tell lawyers who are afraid and other people, professionals, is, although IKEA came and makes couches for $100 that used to cost $1,000, there's still top couch makers and chair makers and leather makers, all that kind of stuff, who are making fortune. So if you're really good at what you do and you care about what you do and you have passion for it, you're still going to do well. But the people middle of the road, they're going to get slaughtered. So just prepare for all that as competition heats up, increases.
Yeah. Okay, John, thank you for being our guest again on Global TV. I really appreciate it. I welcome you back.
I appreciate it. Definitely love to be back. Thanks again.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.